This is the wildest pig-slaying tool since the forging competition began, named the Wild Boar Harvester. This knife not only excels in slicing through sinew and bone, but can easily chop up a dozen chickens when used on domestic pigs. Although it still falls short of our Chinese war swords used in battle, it is more than enough for the first round of the competition. Naturally, such a fierce tool should not be forged carelessly. Therefore, besides using a sturdy 28 cm thick rod as the material, the blade length must be controlled between 55 to 60 cm with a width of at least 10 cm. Wow! A half-meter long and 10 cm wide blade for the first round of forging is quite a challenge. Moreover, it still involves 3 hours of forging. So, Austin welded on the handle for a better grip and then directly threw it into the furnace for heating. Meanwhile, he switched the press machine to a large round mold while heating, as such a thick steel rod needs to be kept at high temperatures for quick shaping, and a handy forging mold is essential. Ian then began forging and elongating the red-hot steel rod. Never having forged such a robust rod, he was cautious, measuring as he stretched it, worried about overextending. Robert planned to forge and elongate aggressively, expanding the width after reaching the target length. After all, it's easier to widen if it's too narrow, but harder to lengthen if it's too short. Jason also thought to lengthen first, but the press machine was too comfortable, leading him to accidentally stretch it into an iron banana. An hour later, Austin began extending and widening the elongated steel billet, and the forging was so effective that the billet became too long for the furnace. Fortunately, the knife blank was roughly shaped, only needing adjustments at the tail end. Ian not only met the blade length standard, but also reached the required width under his heavy hammering. He was now ready to adjust the details for quenching. Wow, is forging supposed to be this fast at 19? Robert also did a great job, but he overextended one side while widening the knife blank, resulting in uneven thickness on both sides. Meanwhile, Jason could barely lift the knife now, feeling a bit worn out from the heat and effort. However, Austin's pig-slaying knife gained Ben Abbott's approval. He not only nailed the dimensions, but also completed the root drilling after confirming the size. The finish was flawless. Ian was also doing exceptionally well, only needing to adjust the shoulders of the knife to finish up. In the final hour, the 4 bladesmiths were nearing the end of their work on the largest pig-slaying knives. Jason was struggling more and more with each hammer strike due to the high temperatures increasing his blood pressure. For safety, the staff had to take him out to quickly drink a red tonic. Robert's blade had reached the required size, but its shape, with many curves, was too delicate. He now needed to straighten it to advance. With 30 minutes left, a rejuvenated Jason, having downed the tonic, returned to the competition. Fortunately, he had already roughly shaped his blade, and finishing it in time seemed feasible. Meanwhile, Austin had completed his blade and quenched it, achieving perfect straightness and an impressive enchantment effect. Ian followed suit with his quenching, also yielding great results. At 19, Ian's skills were impressive. In the last 5 minutes, Robert completed his quenching with decent results. Austin was the last to quench his blade. It was a tough journey for him, and even Ben Abbott was nervous on his behalf. Time was up, and the first round of the challenge concluded. All 4 competitors had finished making the largest Doug Marcada Happy Knives in history. So, whose knife was the best? Austin's rough but well-forged blade was perfectly straight. Jason's blade, despite being a bit curved, was otherwise fine, though the curve was somewhat abstract. 19-year-old Ian's blade was slightly bent, but Whitebeard was very satisfied. Finally, Robert's knife's shape was not discussed, but a quick measurement revealed it was 1 centimeter too short in width, making the outcome clear. Robert was out of the competition. The remaining 3 competitors advanced to the second round to continue their work. Besides using wooden bars for the handles, they had to adjust imperfections in their blades before submitting them for high-strength testing. The 2-hour work clock started. Ian immediately began heating his blade with a spray bottle and then corrected its bend with a bold move, successfully fixing it. Austin set up his blade and started grinding it directly on the machine, his knife being the most stylish among the 3. The fresh dug temperament still needs to be polished away. As for Jason, he plans to work on the handle first since the curvature of his blade blank is too intricate. It's more practical to adjust the grip than to correct the curvature now. This could be seen as the latest way to give up. In the final hour, Ian completed drilling the handle material after cutting the copper nails, and then glued everything together, making the process flow smoothly. Austin used his daughter's stainless steel hairpin to pre-mark the holes on the handle material to ensure alignment with the blade base. It seems even a bladesmith's daughter is tough. While shaping the handle, Jason applied too much force and cracked it, but it wasn't a big issue. He just filled it with plenty of glue, which was free anyway. Ian finished the handle and then applied a torch for a vintage effect, concluding that looking cool was all that mattered. Time was up, ending the second round. First was Ben Abbott's strength test, chopping large bones. Ian's pig-slaying knife went first, exuding a rustic feel, with the blade showing no issues and Ben being very satisfied with the handle. Next was Jason's knife, which was powerful, but the handle's burrs cut Ben's hand. Lastly, Austin's knife also had an intact blade and excellent grip. The second round was Doug Marcada's sharpness test chopping pig legs. Ian's knife performed very well, Jason's was fierce, and Austin's was the most effective. After 2 rounds of testing and deliberation, the decision was made to send Jason home because a handle that injures the user is a major taboo in competitions. In the end, Austin and Ian advanced to the third round. They would return home to bring back large Japanese swords from the 14th century, known for their ability to easily break through enemy armor, especially when used by cavalry. However, due to their large size and difficulty in handling, these swords faded from use after the 17th century. The forging requirement was to control the slightly curved single-edged blade between 106 and 111 centimeters, with a traditional handle wrap and a gold round head on the handle. They would return in 4 days for a high-strength test, with the winner taking the championship and the prize money. Austin began passionately hand-hammering the heated finished steel. To be honest, manually hammering a 1.5-meter-long sword really tests one's skills. Fortunately, I managed to complete more than half of it on the first day. Ian was much better than his competitors. He had a brand new forging press that could quickly stretch and then forge the steel into a blade blank. Since his furnace was not long enough, he even improvised a ground furnace for heating and completed the quenching of the blade blank on the first day, which turned out very well. The next day, after Austin's second round of intense manual hammering, he finally achieved the desired blade length. Then, the older brother heated and quenched the blade blank again. The blade was straight and hard, truly a testament to the craftsman's skill. On the third day, Ian first outlined the base of the blade to make a katana handle. Then he dug out the fittings and completed the handle assembly. He was so excited that he grinned ear to ear. On the last day, Austin wrapped a faux crocodile skin around the handle and finished the handle wrap with a festive red cord. Now, only the final blade grinding was left before it was ready for the performance. Ian's accessory making also neared completion. After assembling, he wrapped the handle with pearl fish skin, showing his experienced craftsmanship. Not to mention, chopping pineapples was a breeze for him. 4 days later, the two returned to the competition with their swords. Ian's large katana was forged from 5160 steel with soft steel fittings. Austin's katana was also made from 5160 steel with soft steel components. Both swords had their own unique styles. So, which sword was more fierce? First was Doug Marcada's practical test of chopping pigs, but since Doug Marcada had a recurrence of an old injury, Whitebeard took over the task. Ian's large katana went first, and its performance was astonishing. The blade remained undamaged, and the handle fit Whitebeard's small hands perfectly. Next was Austin's large katana. Aside from being a bit too kind, the sword performed well overall, and Whitebeard liked it too. The second round was Ben Abbott's strength test, chopping iron fish and steel pipes. Ian's sword had no issues at all, and Ben was very satisfied. Austin's sword structure was acceptable, though the blade was slightly curled. After 2 rounds of testing and discussion, Ian was declared the champion of this episode. Austin's sword, from practical to strength performance, was slightly inferior. Congratulations to 19-year-old Ian for winning the championship.